raising women's voices.
One story at a time.
Welcome to the She Said Project podcast. I feel like it's time for an afternoon dance break. Like party time.
Okay.
Party time. Sometimes you just need to pause and go, we need to move, we need to groove.
Yeah, I'm down with it.
I know. Hopefully you've tuned into the She Said Project podcast on purpose, and you were hoping to spend an hour with me, Jeanette Jerzyk, and my friend Carrie Rosso of the She Said Project fame. We work in the realm of storytelling to empower women to be bold and brave and fearless and courageous and vulnerable.
Wow.
All the buzzwords.
It's a lot of words. You got them all in there. Yeah.
Indeed. But you know what? After a long day at the office, I hope our friends get in their car and turn on the podcast. And so my mom, who is our biggest fan, watches all of our episodes back in New Jersey.
I am her biggest fan.
She's pretty great. But she tells me that, and maybe it's just because she's my mom, which I will totally accept, she watches the video of our podcast on the streaming app for WCAA 3+. And she says, it's like you're in my living room and we're having coffee together. It's like we're hanging out. And so I hope that's true for other women who get to enjoy time with us. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah. I think that's always been the goal for the show, for the podcast, for all of it. You know, there are plenty of opportunities to watch slick, well-polished interactions, but that would not be us. We want it to feel like you're just hanging out with your girlfriends and having a good time. Like, you can watch plenty of Oprahs, but here we're going to just...
Here we are not.
We are not.
Oprah,
we are no
not.
Oprah. We are just having fun, saying it. Very little filter.
I respect the Oprahs of the world, big time.
Oh, I do too. But that slot's filled.
It is. And from literally day one, and for those who are true She Said fans will know that once upon a time, we had a little baby web series, which was like a coffee talk show, like, The View, or, we had some friends. We sat around a table drinking coffee and talked about, the women in the community. And I do vividly remember how intentionally we were about, this is not a slick, format show. This is we're just yucking it up.
There you go.
Oh my God, it took me a minute.
Okay, because
really
sometimes
did.
Jeanette says yakking it up, and that sounds like she has the stomach flu. Like, no, there's a very
I mess
big
it
difference.
up every time.
Yeah, but you know what I'll tell you,
tell
from
me.
the web series to, actually I'll go even further back, the promo photos.
Yes.
For She Said, guess what I was wearing? This is
my gosh.
This is how much I hate to shop. And it was old then.
That's an original. That is a K-Ross original. I have pictures of you in that top.
But here's the thing. It looks different because it was way looser then. So it just has a very different vibe now. It all comes back around. And I laughed putting this on because I thought
it wasn't a crop top back then, Carrie?
No. Yeah, this is why the camera's here. Nobody needs to see my flesh belt. Yeah, we're just going to roll with it. But I'm like, look at that. See, again, we don't have wardrobe, hair, makeup. We have
We tried it once. Yeah, we brought in a makeup artist for the web series, and I'll just say it wasn't actually our best look that day.
No.
It was a little severe.
I looked like an escort. Yeah. It was like, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, it was a little severe.
Not my best look.
I love that you're keeping it old school right now and bringing back the original wardrobe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to buy you some new clothes, is what I'm hearing.
I don't like to shop. I'm not that girl. So, but I did laugh when I pulled this out today thinking, oh gosh.
Thank you for the memory. I did not catch that right away, but I'm so glad you said that. So what Carrie doesn't know is now I'm going to go pull some pictures of her from 10 years ago in this top and give it to our producer so he can add it to the video reel of today's episode. So thank you for joining us on the podcast. We are yucking it up because that's what we get to do. We get to create spaces where women get to share stories and just connect. And it's a beautiful thing. And today we are welcoming a guest who is from a new That's What She Said show in a new community that our podcast friends have not even met yet, because I think she's our first guest from the Terre Haute, Indiana cast. And so That's What She Said Terre Haute launched in 2025 under the glorious direction of producer Bev Merritt Hicks. She's one of those who came to a She Said show, maybe had a friend or two that were involved in a different city. And within 24 hours, she had me on Zoom going, how do I do this? And it happened very quickly. Bev is a mover and a shaker. I cannot say enough good things about her. But she put together this phenomenal cast of women. It was an honor to be sitting in the audience that night, in that fateful night in October 2025. And because of that night, we get to hang out for the next 45 minutes or so with Jess Berryhill, who is joining us via video here in her glorious mountain regions of Terre Haute.
Hilly, Indiana.
I love it. Welcome, Jess. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Well, I mean, we're just being goofy over here.
Yeah.
But, you know,
So great.
You have to. You have to.
Yeah. All right. So, Jess, tell us, how did you get connected? How did you wind up on the She Said train?
So I started actually after the 2024 election. I felt a little deflated. And I felt like the world was just kind of crashing around me a little. It just felt, there was just there's things happening. And I thought, okay, I personally need to get back to kind of like what I'm about. And I think in order to not lose hope in a world that sometimes feels hopeless, I needed to get back to talking to people. And I set my goal to have 100 conversations with 100 people across 2025.
Wow.
Spoiler alert, that didn't happen, unfortunately. It was such a good goal.
What a great goal,
That
though.
is a great goal.
It was a great goal. And I did end up, I think I ended up having, it helps me be more intentional in the conversations I have regularly, but I did end up having several conversations. But Bev was one of the people that I reached out to say, hey, like, I want to just have a conversation. Like, I just want to know your story. There's no agenda. Like, I just need to be with people. I need to remember why I do what I do, and remember why, that there's hope and there's people doing amazing things. And so she was like, well, funny enough, like, I think we're doing the same thing. And so she was like, hey, like, I want to invite you to be a part of That's What She Said. And so that's kind of how it all started.
Yeah, that was her year of intentional networking as well.
Yeah.
Did you know her before that coffee date?
We had actually done so we have like a neighbors helping neighbors thing. And my high school students and my middle school students actually cleaned her gutters one time for like a service project. Because I think that point she was struggling with a knee problem, and so she couldn't do it. And so that's how we met initially. And then she also runs sort of a clothing closet that we've been a part of through our disability ministry. So ish, but definitely got to know her a little bit more as we, went through this process. So yeah, that's how it all panned out.
That fateful coffee. Little did you know.
I love this purposefulness of, and sometimes I forget, because in the world we live in, it's kind of our job to seek out and have conversations with amazing women. And so it's always at the forefront of our mind how many amazing women there are out there, and so many more doing things. And so I'm so glad you reached out like that. What a great way, instead of really getting in the weeds and like, oh, it's horrible, there's nothing good happening. Which, that's a good road to go down sometimes. I enjoy that. But then eventually you have to come back and be like, okay, how am I going to get through this?
Yeah, and I think that's where I landed. And so I did end up having some really incredible conversations, but I think I ended up meeting some really cool people through That's What She Said. So that was also really awesome.
Well, Jess, in a moment or two, we're going to share the story that you shared on stage. But without giving too much away, I want you to just tell us who you are in the world, what you do in Terre Haute, because you've already dropped some little buzzwords, ministry and the students and community service. And so just paint us a picture of who Jess Berryhill is.
Oh, well, that's a long answer, but
without giving away all the goodies in the story too, which is the work you do.
Yeah, so I serve individuals with disabilities, but I also am just a youth pastor. So I'm a youth pastor who loves teenagers and friends with disabilities, and then I love community. Like I love seeing our community thrive, being a part of what's happening here. I think we can hate on Terre Haute, but like, what are we going to do to be better? Like, how am I going to be a part of making this town a better place to live for not just the teenagers I serve, but also my friends with disabilities? So I've worked at the same church for the last 16 years, but my work has gone beyond the church, which has been really cool, and I've gotten to meet amazing people throughout, and I don't know, it's just such a blessing. So I just got a new puppy, so I'm a little sleep deprived. So there's that. And I also got a new car. So I got an orange Subaru. I know. So there's some fun things. So
I'm surprised we don't see more orange cars driving around. We live in orange and blue country. So I bet it's a fun car.
It is. It looks very fun. Looks a little like a traffic cone, but
Traffic cone going down the road.
Whatever.
I mean, it is clear that, building community is important to you. And I think that is just so evident in the story that you shared. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, you will get to hear Jess's story too. You have never met someone who is so dedicated to building community as Jess Berryhill of Terre Haute, Indiana. Please enjoy her performance from That's What She Said, Terre Haute 2025. Here is Bigger and Better.
The game was simple. Take a paperclip, go out into the community, and trade it for something bigger and better. Those were the exact instructions I gave my middle school and high school students in my youth group before I sent them out into Terre Haute to barter their way to glory. I did end with, if you come back with a car, you automatically win. I did not include very many other instructions, and that was a mistake. I sat at the church waiting for their return, and the first group, they bring back a conglomeration of household items, a rug, a lamp, some yard decor. Okay, decent. One team brings back a mattress that they found on the side of the road. I was becoming slightly concerned that we didn't quite understand the mission. One team calls and says, "We have a car." I said, "There is no way." They rolled up with a crashed minivan on a flatbed truck holding a fake key. And I said, "What are we going to do with that?" In my head, I'm thinking, guys, this game is called Bigger and Better, not Bigger and Crappier. The last team, though, they come running in. You've got to see what we got. Well, so far the track record isn't great, so I'm not going to hold my breath on this one. I walked out, and one of my volunteers is holding a puppy. Enter the rule I didn't think I needed to have. Don't bring back anything alive. And before I could process that my students brought back a living creature during a game that I had instructed them to play, they started to explain their strategy. Jess, we traded the paperclip for the Roomba. Then we traded the Roomba for a puppy. And then we tried to trade the puppy for a creeper van, but they didn't take the trade. If you've spent any time with teenagers, that line of thinking is not surprising. Here's a glimpse of my brain in that moment. First, I cried. I tend to do that. I wanted a dog, but then immediately I thought, I don't think I want that dog. Followed quickly by, again, you all traded a Roomba for a puppy. Next time, kids, let's skip on the gremlin with teeth and keep the vacuum cleaner. Now, spoiler alert, the group with the puppy did win. That paperclip puppy, now known as Cooper, is 9 years old, and he sleeps in my bed every night. Here's the deal, though. Getting Cooper wasn't the first time, and it won't be the last time that I stood in front of something that I didn't plan for, didn't expect, or didn't want. And if I'm being really honest, it seems, and it sometimes feels like I've been playing bigger and better my whole life. I grew up in a trailer park on the east side of Indy, and I was a first-generation college student. That was exciting. But there were no roadmaps. There were no legacies. I was just hoping that bigger and better lived on the other side of a degree, hard work, and perseverance. I knew that I did know this. I wanted to teach teenagers about life. So being an English teacher seemed to fit that bill. But I quickly scrapped that plan when I learned that you actually had to read books. Nah, I'm good. So I called an audible, and I switched my degree to psychology. And I decided that I was going to do research, and I was going to teach college students. Did I just make the dream bigger and better? Yes. After graduating college, I loaded up my car and moved to Terre Haute for grad school. And here is where it all starts to feel like a questionable trade. I spent 2 years going through the motions in graduate school. I would bike up 7th Street every day, and as I engaged with community members along my trek, I remember thinking about a year in, I'm not sure that I want to spend my life in this academic bubble. I want to be with people. At the same time, my passion for teaching kids never really went away. I was serving as a youth group volunteer at my church when the youth pastor decided he was going to take a new job. And when you're young, sometimes they look at you in those moments and said, your turn. But here's the deal. Taking that job meant dropping out of grad school. It meant less dollar bills in my pocket. It meant dropping the dream of having letters in front of my name. It was choosing to take a step into uncertainty. In some ways, in a lot of ways, it felt like failure. And yet I took the job. No worries on that one. Did I understand the mission? Did I know that I was playing bigger and better and not bigger and crappier? Fast forward to the first few weeks on the job. Nick, a new 6th grader, comes rolling in hot to youth group. You see, Nick would run down the halls yelling, I killed Sirius Black, just like the villain Bellatrix Lestrange from Harry Potter. See, Nick has autism, and I already felt like I had no idea what I was doing. Add Nick into that picture, and I felt completely unprepared to serve and to love Nick. So I loved him out of obligation, because that's what good youth group leaders do. And rooted in my own inadequacy, I felt like this wasn't quite what I would have chosen. A few years later, though, I was standing in the Walmart hardware aisle, and I had an epiphany, naturally. Here's what I learned. Here's what I had learned about Nick. He loves keys. And he liked to take mine a lot. Knowing this, I bought a bunch of padlocks and a bike lock, and I connected them all together. And I handed them to Nick the next Sunday, and I said, Nick, I need you to figure this out for me. And you know what? He sat with us during all of Sunday school. And he worked hard to try to figure out each key and which one went to which lock. And I had no idea what I was doing. But I started with what I had. I started with locks and keys and a willingness to try over and over and over again. And that was enough. Here's the deal. We learned real quick that Nick had some friends who also needed some community and a place to belong to. So we dove in. We created a disability ministry. Did I know what I was doing? No. Are you seeing a trend? Possibly. We hung out with 6 to 8 students and adults with disabilities each week. And we called it good, finished, check the box. But what happened next was incredible. I watched as my heart towards Nick and his friends turned from an obligation into a felt responsibility and finally shift into a calling. So, much like some teenagers trading a Roomba for a vacuum, or for a puppy, sorry, I wish. Let me tell you my strategy. I traded certainty for connection. 15 years later, I have the chance every week to spend time with nearly 100 individuals with disabilities. I get to sit with teenagers and talk about life just like I wanted to. And even better, I get to invite each of them into this wild adventure with me and show them what it means to live a life that is open-handed, a life that is full and abundant, wild and risky, beautiful and sacred. I traded prestige for presence. The same street, 7th Street, that I biked down during grad school and felt that sort of holy discomfort and a call to be with people is now home to the nonprofit that I created and run. It's a house where college students and young adults with disabilities are able to live together in community as roommates. And me and my 70-pound dog / former gremlin puppy, we also live there too. I've learned that presence is provocative in a world that moves fast and often carelessly. It's louder than credentials and messier than plans, but it is the kind of holy disruption that actually changes things. Instead of climbing career ladders, I traded up to instead sit at tables. Tables in church basements with teenagers, tables at Mexican restaurants with my friends with disabilities. Pretty much any table I sit at, you better believe that I'm gonna shout their worth. Even more so, if given the chance, I'm gonna scoot over and make some room at those tables for the world to experience some of the coolest and most amazing people I know. And at the end of the day, it's me plus them. We're a package deal. Because of those trades, y'all, I won the game. With spontaneous dance parties, Christmas mornings spent next to my friends with disabilities who don't have families, hiking mountains with teenagers, serving alongside young people, seeing the ripples of this work impact far beyond the walls of a church or the roads of this city, and of course, a paperclip puppy, I've learned that this different and remarkable life is not less than by any stretch of the imagination. And lean in while I tell you the key to the game. Every time I thought I'd given something up, I realized that I was just making space for something bigger and better.
Well, you're just going to have to excuse me because I need to step aside and have an ugly cry now. Man, oh man. All the feels.
What a great story.
Jess, thank you. All the feels. Bigger and better. But like that is like life's lessons, you know, in the making, but just wrapped up in this beautiful story for the world to enjoy and ingest. And you know, you're creating ripples of change in what you do and now in saying it out loud.
Yeah. It's when I think about my story, I think it reminds me, like, whether you believe in God or not, like, you can't make this stuff up. Like,
No.
just how I feel like God's fingerprints have been all over my life. And so to just watch it play out, in the middle of it, it's uncomfortable and not fun. But I think, man, now that I look back and I think I could be teaching on a college campus. But man, I don't want to. I want this life. I want this great life that I've built and that has come together in ways that I would have never expected. So, yeah.
I mean, I suspect if you were on a college campus, you'd still be creating space like this that would be similar to this. But I'm so glad that you are where you are doing what you're doing. And what a wonderful, did you know right away when you joined the sisterhood, like, this is what I'm going to talk about?
Yeah, I was like, I can tell a story about my dog and how I got him. And I think
is a great story of its own.
It's a great story. Yeah, it's an excellent story. And yeah, immediately we talked. I think that was what I suggested, and they were like, yes, that one. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, it was really quick to kind of nail that down, and then to make those connections, right? To say, like, how have I traded up in my own life, and kind of give that some thought, you know, and to really kind of walk through that. It was really helpful. It gave me an awareness that maybe I don't always focus on day to day, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I was curious so you had this story of the game that you had challenged your teens to go out into the world and figure out. And then you have this comparison to your own story to the game. So I'm curious if you had already figured that out for yourself, or did this process connect those dots for you?
I mean, I think it kind of naturally, like, you can see the threads, but like, I think this helped me hash it out a little bit more. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I have traded up. And I think those last lines of, like, I've traded connection, or I've traded, you know, this for that. And I think those lines just, like, those leave me like, yes, like, that's like, and there's no deficit in that. I think that's sometimes it can, when you're in the midst of, like, you feel like you're trading, or you like are shifting, your life is shifting a little bit. It doesn't feel that good that you're trading up. But I think that's just being able to, like, have time and space to do that. I think that was really helpful.
And I like the idea of redefining bigger and better.
Yeah.
You know, I think the world at large tries to define that for us, or we let it define it for us. I don't know.
But it's different to different people. Mm-hmm. What does bigger and better mean to you? Yeah. When was the moment that you knew this was not just a growing hobby, but now a lifestyle, like, to the point where you started a nonprofit? What was that moment?
So that was 5 years ago. So that was 2018. We got a grant where we had to do a lot of community listening. And so we sat down with a whole bunch of partners in the disability community, and we said, hey, like, where are the gaps? Like, what are some areas where you think our town does well, or where what's missing? And we talked to so many people, and I'm so grateful for that process because I got a lot more friends out of it. But one of our partners, she said, here's the deal. If you and I wanted to go have a girls' night, we could do that. But our friends with disabilities don't have that option. And so up until that point, we were thinking, you know, we're going to spend this money on jobs, or, you know, transportation. And it was that moment that shifted everything, because we realized that, yes, those were gaps, but the biggest gap is community and belonging. Like our friends with disabilities don't have natural pockets of community. And so what would it look like to create spaces where that could happen? And so we had heard about this house in Michigan where college students and young adults live together. And we thought, oh, that's too big for us. There's no way. And we like, how could we do that? And after that conversation, I was like, I think that's what we're supposed to do.
How can we not? Yeah.
Yeah. And so that was in the fall of 2018. And we launched in the fall of 2019. It was like less than 9 months of like, it was, 10 out of 10 would not recommend. But sometimes I think those expedited timelines, right, help us not move our feet in the opposite direction, right? So it helps us, you're like, we're moving, we're doing it. and sometimes I think, like sometimes I think in those moments, if I don't have an expedited timeline, I get nervous and I think about all the what ifs. And so it didn't allow me to think of all the what ifs as much. So we launched, we rented a house, and some of my former students who obviously grew up loving our friends with disabilities and who had a passion for it. I said, you guys want to live with me? And like, we'll try to do this thing. And they were like, yes. And then some of our friends with disabilities also said yes. And so it was like, okay, like we're doing it. But I think how that started, if we were to rewind even more, you can only sit in like prayer circles and at dinner tables and hear, when I listen to my friends say, hey, like I want a job. Hey, I want to live independently. Hey, like I have all these hopes and dreams. And like you can only hear that so many times before you're like, maybe I'm the vehicle for that. And not that I'm here to save the world, but I think those quiet nudges, when we listen to people's dreams, it's not just a dream, it's like an actual like that's what they hope for. Like, and so I think it was part of that, like part of just listening to my friends and hearing what they have to say and making space for them to allow me to dream and advocate for them. So.
And what is your organization called?
It's called Terre Haute Friendship House. So, so it sort of operates kind of as a hub for community. So we do lots of different things, have a lot of yard parties during the summer, hang out. But one of my favorite things that we do is every year we invite friends. Some of our friends with disabilities don't have family for whatever reason. And last year, one of our community partners asked, and they said, hey, like, what are you guys doing for Christmas? And I was like, well, we're not doing anything. Like, we're going to be with family, you know? And I said, and I could have stopped there, but then I got curious and I was like, what are you guys doing? And she said, well, like, we're just going to go to the center and I guess we'll have some hot chocolate. And that was kind of it. And I was like, no, we can't. No. So the last 2 years we've had, the first year we had like 15 or 20, but this year we had, I don't even know how many people will fit in my house. But it was like 30 to 40 friends with disabilities, and we invite them all over for Christmas, and we buy them all presents, and we have matching pajamas, and like, it's a whole thing. And it just like, it is exactly what this house was made for. Like yes, the friends that live in our house are part of our mission, but like our hope was that these walls would go far beyond what we could ever imagine. And so I love Christmas now. Like Christmas just, it is joy.
Magnified.
So much joy.
Multiplied and magnified.
Yeah.
Jess, we're going to take a quick break and then I want to hear some more.
Yeah.
So here you are, planted in a community that was never meant to be yours, so to speak. And you have built an institution that has changed so many lives and created welcoming space for so many. How does that feel?
Sometimes I think, wow, like I'm literally just a youth pastor. Like I think like I didn't even like I barely signed up for this and then like like I don't know, it blows me away. Like it does feel very much like, but I think it's hope. I think it also provides a lot of hope for people. I think a lot of times our friends with disabilities and even teenagers can be a little scary, right? Like those interactions can be a little, for some people, a little unnerving, just out of their comfort zone. And so I try to lead with that, right? That like, this isn't what I signed up for. This isn't, I didn't know what I was doing. And yet this is what has come of this, like and not out of, it's just been a year's worth of listening and showing up and trying to figure it out, and trying to do the best by our friends. And so I think it's pretty incredible, but I also think I hope it gives people hope. I hope that it gives them a little bit of confidence when they engage with folks with disabilities, especially. So, yeah.
I'm watching your face.
I'm just my head's about to nod off my shoulders. I'm just so impressed, and I think I love that she was so open. This is so foreign to me because when I have a path, I have to stay on that path. When I have a routine, there is no pivoting.
Yeah,
so I'm so envious when people can have an open heart to the pivot. And
the universe is telling me, yes, there's something here. Do we have any resources like that here in Champaign County? I mean, I know we have Developmental Services Center, but I'm unaware of maybe there are some homes, and maybe I need to do some research and not be ignorant here.
But this story just feels so personal and specific.
It's one thing to build an organization. It's one thing to build a resource. It's another thing to build a home. And to choose to live in that home with the community that you've built. That is a commitment above and beyond most stories. That is incredibly special. What does your family think about your life choices? Do they miss you? Do they miss you at the holidays?
So my mom actually came over this year.
Yay, okay.
So she came over and
come on in, join the party. Yeah.
Yeah. I told her, so the year before we just did breakfast and I said, Deb, I think that I call her Deb. That might be an indicator of our relationship, but I told her, I said, I think this is going to get bigger. And I think I might have just ruined Christmas for us, but I want you to be a part. And so she was like, she's pretty much game for whatever I decide to do. So, yeah, so they've been supportive. I think sometimes they're like, oh, just being creative and doing the things. So, yeah, but no, they've been supportive and yeah.
Well, and even if the path is different, I think it's an inspiring thing for people. Like, be willing to pivot, be open to trying these things, and whatever it looks like for. It's different for everybody, but I'm sure your folks are just so proud of you.
Yeah, my mom's pretty proud of me. So, yeah, she's always jazzed about the things that we're doing. And, I think one of the things you were like, it's a whole nother level to create a home. I think one of the things that it's not hard because these folks are my friends, right? Like, they're really my family. I'm single, kind of before this all started, I had a thought. I was like, well, maybe someday, this was when I was like 30. Someday when I get married, like maybe we'll adopt an individual with disabilities or become a guardian. And obviously that did not pan out. And so when Friendship House became a thing, they were like, are you going to live there? And I was like, yes, absolutely. Like, these are my people. These are like my family. So, yeah, I don't know. I just think sometimes it feels crazy but I don't know. I look at it and I think, why wouldn't I do it? Right? Like, there's no question.
I am curious, complete sidebar. Do you have a relationship, like, do you get medical support? Do you have any relationships with the medical community so that you have, things in place for your residents?
Yeah. So part of kind of the requirement is
Yeah.
that they have to be able to like do their own meds. So these are folks who are kind of
Like independent living.
Yeah, so that's their goal, right? Is that they can live at a house for 10 years. And one of the requirements is that they take their own meds because unlike a group home, this is just a house. This is just roommates living together. So really, we're all just roommates. So just like you wouldn't, if we were roommates, I wouldn't be in charge of your medication. The same is true. So not that there aren't things that happen that, we try to do some wraparound services when it makes sense or when we have connections in that area. But primarily our role is just to be roommates, right? Just to create a space where people can belong and try out independent living in a safe space and hopefully launch into a more independent environment, right? The goal is that at some point that they would live on their own and that they would be able to kind of not be reliant on the system. That's something that we've watched over and over again. A lot of our friends, they lose their parents. Something happens kind of catastrophically, and then they're kind of stuck in the system. And it is honestly it's just heartbreaking. The system is a little broken. And so if we can provide them a way to kind of be less reliant on the system, then it allows them more freedom. And you hate to think that way, but like long term, like we're thinking like when your parents pass away, will you have the skills to be independent enough to live on your own or to have a better outcome in a group home or a community living situation? So, yeah, so that's not always a fun thought, but yeah, it's an important one.
So, Jess, I want to pivot a little bit to what was the reaction after you did this that you got back from people in your community?
Yeah, it was exciting. I think people, a lot of people know the story, so they've kind of watched it develop over the last, 16 years. Some people have, and so, but I think to just kind of lay it all out long, kind of that 30,000-foot view of like how this has completely kind of changed my life, but also other people's lives. Like, people were excited, and like some of the needs at the house, like people were in the audience and they were like, we got you. Like, I'm going to be real blunt, but like at that point it was fall and we had a mouse problem and I was so tired of like dealing with mouse traps, but that's such house mom vibes. And
Such house mom vibes.
I was like, I cannot pick up another dead mouse, like in a trap. Like, it's just terrible. And literally after the show, this lady walks up and she says, hey, I do pest control in town and I want to offer the house free pest control. And I was like, God bless.
And you didn't even mention that in your story. Just
No,
gifts walking in the door.
I was like, thank goodness. So I just think that, we've been really grassroots, right? Like, it's just been me and the amigos, right? Trying to do this thing. And so to kind of allow our community to see how this has developed, but also to see that this place exists in our town, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's only 6 friendship houses in the whole nation. And like one of them is in Terre Haute, Indiana, right? The other ones are at Duke and Vandy and, cooler places than Terre Haute. But here we are, doing the things.
All right, Jess, we can certainly keep going. We're going to take a quick break. We only have a few more minutes, but I could talk all day. This is so good.
This is so great.
We'll be right back. Jess, did you say that there are only 6 friendship houses in the country?
Yeah.
That's incredible that you have built this for the people of Terre Haute. How did you learn about the concept?
Yeah, so it was a friend from college who said, hey, have you heard what they're doing up at Western Theological? And I said, nope, haven't. And then he mentioned it, and I was like, oh, well, that's a good story. Like, whatever. There's
That's
no
nice.
like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. But then after that conversation with that partner, I was like, that's what we're supposed to do. Like, it was
You just knew.
immediately. I just knew. Like, I was like, that's the thing that we're supposed to do.
So
and I was like, I don't know.
Did you go visit, or you heard about it and that was it? You took a road
so
trip.
we went to, I've been to the one in Michigan and the one at Duke. And I said, like, our goal is to have it ready by August. And they looked at me a little like I was crazy, which I was. And I was like, we're going to rent a house. Like, that way we can kind of pilot it, but it's all attached to this grant. So there's a little bit of a timeline, and we did it. Like, it was crazy. We slept on an air mattress for a minute, but it was incredible. So yeah, what a time. What a time.
I work in nonprofits as well and have learned so much, and there's so many people doing great work. But usually the timeline between an idea and founding an organization and doing fundraise, like, it's very conceptual for a very long time. What you did had immediate impact. Like, you built community immediately. And
Yeah.
like, there are people whose lives will never, who are so much better, infinitely better because of what you created.
Yeah, I'm still in shock at the timeline. I mean, when you're saying words like grant and all of these things, like that, all of that takes a long time, and that you pulled it off in 9 months is no small feat.
Yeah.
How many roommates do you have?
Currently, I have 4. So the guys live downstairs. So we ended up a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, bought a house. We were operating under the church's umbrella. We moved out and did our own nonprofit, and we were able to buy a house. So we bought a house in the historic district in Terre Haute, and it's amazing. So we have 2 guys that live downstairs and 3 of us that live upstairs, and the house has a plethora of bathrooms, so I'm so grateful. We did one bathroom for like 5 girls at one point. So what a time. So now we all have our own bathroom. It's amazing. So
what's the process of becoming a roommate? Don't worry, I'm not trying to horn in on this or anything, but
no, it's just so we have an interview. We kind of decide whether it's a good fit for us as a house. But also for the family, right? And so we kind of explain some of the expectations, some of the things that are kind of like every roommate has to have a job or a significant volunteer opportunity. They can live there for up to 10 years, but the rent is really cheap. So it's $300 flat, includes all the utilities, all the household goods, the whole bit. So we think that's pretty much a steal in this economy. So, So we try to make sure, that our friends are taken care of. So we found a house on the bus line in Terre Haute, so everyone would have transportation. Try to be really thoughtful about making sure that it makes a whole lot of sense for someone to move in. And so then if we say yes, and they say yes, then we invite them to move in. So, yeah.
Are you currently looking, or are you at capacity?
We're at capacity. Okay. So we're looking for a boys' house is what we're looking for.
You're going to expand.
Yeah.
Did you hear that, Terre Haute? We're looking for a new house. Jess is on the move. She is not stopping.
Yeah. So
I can't imagine. I can only imagine that your connection with Bev and the She Said family in Terre Haute is only going to point people and resources in your direction, and some media attention, or, hi, you're on a podcast. Who knows who's going to hear this and be like, I will come take your rats away.
Yeah, right.
What other service in a dream world? What other services would you need?
Like outside
like gardening, landscaping.
Yeah. So we just got $100,000 grant.
What?
I know.
Wow.
So we bought a bus to get our people around, and we built a patio and some outdoor space. And so, God provides. We moved in and our heater stopped, And I was like, we have no money. Cool. I don't know how we're going to fix this. And I was like, I'm just going to do the next thing that I know to do. And so I was like, I need to rake the leaves because we're having an open house. And so I was out raking leaves, and an HVAC company called me and said, hey, like, we got you. And so they donated a $10,000, I don't even know how many, it was free. So someone donated a fence so that our friends could be safe. And, it's been like, I think when you show up for people, like, people see that and it just looks different. And, whether you believe in God or not, like, I like to point and say, God knows what we need and he provides it when we need it. But, people have showed up for us too. So we show up for people, people show up for us, and we just continue to live out this idea of like hope and joy and love, and it's just good stuff.
And Jess, that is so clear when you hear your story that you live by that. And I just want to make sure you're taking care of you, because this is a lot for you to pour out, and you deserve all the love and self-care as well. So thanks for joining us today and telling us the journey and the story of the Terre Haute Friendship House. We're so excited to have you in the She Said family, and we can continue to spread the word. And we can't wait to hear what happens next with you and your roommates and your friends in Terre Haute.
Yes.
So thanks, Jess.
Thank
we'll
you,
see you next
Jess.
time.
So much.
Thank you,
Appreciate it,
friends.
guys.
Thanks for joining us on the She Said Project podcast. Thank you for listening to the She Said Project podcast. All materials contained in the podcast are the exclusive property of the She Said Project, and That's What She Said, LLC. For more information on our live shows, go to shesaidproject.com.